India has just cleared the legal pathway for E100 fuel, which means petrol made entirely from ethanol. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari has signed the rules granting full legal recognition to 100% ethanol fuel, paving the way for vehicles specifically designed to run entirely on ethanol. The government is calling it a major step towards energy independence, reduced oil imports, and a stronger domestic biofuel economy. However, the move comes at a time when questions surrounding ethanol blended fuel remain far from settled. Because while the government is now preparing for E100, many consumers are still debating the impact of E20, petrol blended with 20% ethanol. Now, to understand why this matters, it is important to understand the government's case first. India remains heavily dependent on imported fossil fuels. In the last financial year alone, the country spent more than $165 billion importing crude oil, LPG, and LNG. Crude oil imports alone crossed $137 billion, with India dependent on imports for nearly 88% of its oil requirements. Nitin Gadkari has repeatedly argued that India's annual fossil fuel bill is now approaching Rs 22 lakh crore and that alternative fuels are essential if India wants greater energy security and lower dependence on foreign energy supplies. The government believes that ethanol can help achieve that objective. So instead of importing fuel from abroad, India can produce ethanol domestically using sugarcane, maize, rice, and agricultural residue. According to the government, this would reduce foreign exchange outflows, support farmers, strengthen energy security, and lower emissions. However, this is not a new policy direction. India achieved its E20 target in 2025, 5 years ahead of schedule. The Bureau of Indian Standards has already notified fuel standards for E22, 25, 27, and E30. The government has also exempted petrol containing 22% to 30% ethanol from central excise duty. Now, E20 represents the next stage of that transition. Automakers including Maruti Suzuki, Toyota, Hero MotoCorp, Hyundai, and Suzuki have already unveiled flex fuel vehicles capable of running on higher ethanol blends. The government's long-term inspiration is Brazil, where flex fuel vehicles have operated successfully for decades. Yet this is precisely where critics say the government's case begins to weaken. Critics argue that the push towards E100 appears premature given that concerns surrounding E20 have not fully been addressed. Over the past year, social media has been flooded with complaints from vehicle owners complaining lower mileage after switching to E20 fuel. And this is not merely anecdotal criticism. Even the government acknowledges that fuel efficiency can decline. Official estimates suggest mileage may fall by 1 to 2% in newer vehicles and by as much as 6% in older vehicles. But critics argue that this is not a minor issue. Ethanol contains less energy than petrol, meaning consumers often need more fuel to travel the same distance. They contended that while the government frequently emphasizes reduced import bills and energy security, it has been less forthcoming about the cost that may ultimately be borne by vehicle owners through reduced fuel efficiency. Automobile viewer Amit Khade has emerged as one of the most vocal critiques of the ethanol program. He argues that ethanol is a dry and corrosive fuel and has repeatedly questioned whether consumers are being adequately informed about its long-term implications, particularly for older vehicles. Meanwhile, the government strongly disputes the claims of widespread engine damage and points to testing that reportedly found no major performance or reliability concerns. However, critics argue that the debate is no longer only about engine damage. It is also about value for money. Millions of vehicles currently on Indian roads were not originally designed for higher ethanol blends, and consumers deserve far greater clarity regarding compatibility, maintenance cost, and long-term performance before country moves towards significantly higher ethanol concentrations. And the criticism extends beyond automobiles. There is also a larger debate over food versus fuel. Much of India's ethanol production currently comes from crops such as sugarcane, maize, and rice. Critics argue that diverting food crops towards fuel production raises difficult policy questions in a country that continues to grapple with food inflation, agricultural distress, and water scarcity. Sugarcane, which remains a major source of ethanol production, is itself among the most water-intensive crops cultivated in India. Supporters counter that second-generation ethanol, produced from agricultural residue and biomass waste, can address many of these concerns while also reducing stubble burning. But critics point out that India still lacks the infrastructure required to scale such solutions effectively. Take the government's ATAT program as an example. More than 1,000 compressed biogas projects have been approved, yet only around 100 plants are currently operational. For critics, this raises a broader concern. They argue that India is setting increasingly ambitious biofuel targets without first demonstrating that the infrastructure required to support them can be deployed at scale. The controversy has also acquired a political dimension. Opposition leaders have repeatedly questioned whether the government's aggressive ethanol push creates the appearance of a conflict of interest given the involvement of businesses linked to Nitin Gadkari's sons Nikhil and Sarang Gadkari in the ethanol sector. While Gadkari has consistently rejected such allegations and maintained that ethanol expansion is being driven by national interest, the issue continues to be raised wherever ethanol targets are expanded. Ultimately, the debate is not about whether India should reduce its dependence on imported oil, because few would dispute that objective. The real question is whether the government is moving towards E100 before fully addressing concerns surrounding mileage, vehicle compatibility, food security, infrastructure readiness, and transparency. E100 may now be legal in India, but whether the country is actually ready for it remains a far more contested question. If you found this video useful, subscribe to the Free Press Journal. Your support encourages us to keep delivering factual, balanced, and in-depth coverage of the issues shaping India and the world.